It's another beautiful morning. It's freezing, but in the sun, it heats up pretty quickly. I'm craving some chapatis this morning. Yesterday I was craving food from home, but this morning I think I'm craving some curry, some chapatis, definitely a hot chai. Breakfast stop number 2.
Hot. Do it?
Don't do it. I said don't do it.
What you said do it.
Moça dosa.
Looks incredible.
What's in there?
Masala dosa. Good. That was some really yummy food. The kids are really keen to go back to the bookshop, so we're going to do that, then make our way back to the Snow Leopard Conservancy office. I love all the handmade knits. We made it after about 4 wrong turns and an hour later. Turns out it's super close to our hostel, but here we are at the Snow Leopard Conservancy India Trust to go meet the team and chat about what they achieved 2 days ago when we went out to the village and learn more about the snow leopards and what they're doing.
Do this. Left. Left. Right.
Hello! We found it.
Yes, good.
We made many wrong turns.
Are you alright?
Hi, my name is Tsewang Namgail. I'm the director of the Snow Leopard Conservancy India Trust here. Yeah, so the Snow Leopard Conservancy India Trust came into being in the year 2000, formally registered as a Indian NGO in the year 2003. First, it came in response to the growing conflict between snow leopards and humans, and snow leopard getting into livestock pens, because they, Ladakh is a treeless area, and it's often difficult for people to cover the roof of the corrals. So the organization, intervened by providing wire mesh to cover the roof, and then also strengthen some of the corrals. Corrals is this livestock pen, where villagers keep their livestock during the nighttime. During the daytime, they herd them up in the mountains on the high pastures. But then in the evening, they all bring, especially the sheep and goats, actually I'm talking about, bring them back to the village, and then they corral them, keep in the livestock pen for the night. And snow leopard is quite notorious for killing especially sheep and goats. Lots of them in the livestock pens, sometimes up to 40-50 sheep and goats in a single night, and that's a huge blow to a family which is entirely dependent on livestock as a source of livelihood. So that was a major loss for people. This intervention has been one of the most successful conservation interventions in the organization in Ladakh. It's a guesstimate. We have some numbers. So people say up to the 300 snow leopards might be occurring in Ladakh, but that's just a guesstimate, based on surveys done in some valleys here and there, and then just extrapolating the data to all of Ladakh, but we have been doing camera trapping in the recent years, and what we found was that we counted about 49 snow leopards in an area of about 5,000 square kilometers. But it was in good snow leopard habitat though. But even then, if you extrapolate that to the whole of Ladakh, which is about 80,000 square kilometers, then I think it'll be much more than that number that we have been kind of projecting. So the ecotourism, it's a very unique program. Again, the Himalayan homestays that the Snow Leopard Conservancy India started, it's a very unique program for conserving the snow leopard. Ladakh has been seeing a tremendous increase in the number of tourists coming in. And Ladakh, when Ladakh was opened first to tourism in the year 1974, we had about 500 tourists coming visiting us. Today we get about 250,000 tourists that also in a short span of time during summer months, from say May to September. But most of the income from tourism mostly went to hoteliers and travel agents in Leh, and people in remote villages that didn't get much from tourism. So when we went to some of these villages and asked them, what are you getting out of tourism? They simply told us that we don't get anything. We just see these people passing by, and all we get is a pile of garbage at the end. So that was their view about tourism in Ladakh. So the organization, wanted to change that trend and give some income generation opportunities to the local people also. Then started the Himalayan homestays, with three main objectives. One is to reduce pressure on the pasture lands. Secondly, to give an income generation opportunities to the local people, and thirdly, giving tourists and great opportunity to learn about local culture firsthand. So these are a very unique combination. And so today a lot of people are coming, tourists are coming to see the snow leopard, and then they combine it with with the homestay, which is one of its kind, when it comes to the conservation world. It has worked really well. The single most important contribution of the homestays has been, I would say, the phenomenal shift in attitude of local people's attitude towards snow leopard. People who before these intervention, people who used to go up in the mountains killing wolf pups and snow leopards. Today, the same people are trying to attract these animals close to their villages, snow leopards and ibexes and all. So that's a tremendous shift. I'll also tell you, share with you a short story. A few years ago, a snow leopard had gotten into a livestock pen, and the authorities had come and captured the snow leopard, and they were taking it away to release it somewhere. But all the youth from around that area just gathered, and they asked the authorities to requested the authorities to release the snow leopard in their villages, in their respective villages. So that is a tremendous shift. That was unthinkable 15 years ago, for example, before all these programs. So it's really a huge shift in the people's attitude, great change in their mindset regarding wildlife. So yeah, geographically, Ladakh is a very interesting place. We share much with the Tibetan people, all the culture and everything. So we're just a small part in India, but we don't share much with India other than just being proximity to India. Rest all culturally is very unique. Linguistically, it is very unique. It is very high and it's very dry. So we make a joke that God left us, high and dry. In fact, there is a saying in Ladakhi which goes like that: the passes are so high and the climate is so harsh that only the best of friends or the worst of enemies would like to visit us. So it's a very kind of harsh environment. But Ladakh is not, the climate is not that harsh anymore, and then there are a lot of planes flying over the passes, so we are getting a lot of people these days. So so geographically it is very interesting. Geologically also it is quite interesting. It had formed as a result of the collision between the Indian plate and the Eurasian plate some 50 million years ago. As the Indian plate drifted northwards, it buckled under the Eurasian plate, and then if you go out and look at the landscape at the mountains, on the other side of the Indus, you'll see there's a wavy pattern in the rock formations. On this side is a little bit jumbled and chaotic. That's because when the Indian plate had buckled under, the Eurasian edge of the Eurasian plate had just scraped it back, and so there's all these folds that you see. in fact, these region was under the Tethys Sea at that time. This when this collision happened, and the Tethys Sea bed was uplifted, and all the water got drained, and there are today a lot of lakes on the Tibetan Plateau and the eastern part of Ladakh. Those are the remnants of the Tethys Sea actually. And yeah, it's dry because of the greater Himalaya. As time passed, the Himalaya kept on rising, and today it's like the highest mountain range on the planet, and so Ladakh is dry because of the rain shadow effect of the Himalayas. We don't get all the moisture-laden clouds that are coming from the south, from the Indian Ocean. Well, there are various ways of helping. One is, just coming and appreciating your work. Going to the villages like you did. And volunteer, for some time. Help go to a village, help the villagers and us, in building a livestock corral, for example. Just spend some time there, promote the homestays, do short videos like you're doing, or write about us in blogs, newspapers, whatever media out there. And then there are other ways of helping also, a lot of people wants to donate money or just in kind. Thirdly, just appreciate the beauty of the area. That's and spread the word, on the conservation issues that the snow leopard is facing and many other species are facing, and people how difficult it is to live in such kind of environment. Just appreciating those is also another way of helping.
Yeah, it was really interesting learning more about the area geographically, biologically, and what they're doing in conservation. Not just for the leopard, but for the whole area.